Am I the AH for refusing to apologize for what I wrote in my journal? I, 16F, like to journal. It helps me with some stuff. I first started journaling when my dad died. I don't write in the same journal now, but it's been my therapy almost. I hold nothing back in it either. And when my mom first met her boyfriend and I had a lot of thoughts and feelings, I documented a lot of stuff. I write more in it since then too. Like more than I used to. I just have a lot more stuff to get out. Some of that is about the blended family my mom and her husband made. It's them, me, and my stepsister, 8. And my mom's been married again for 6 years. She married again 3 years after Dad died. The things I wrote in the journal that got me posting here are about my stepsister and how I don't love her, see her as a real sister, don't enjoy spending time with her, mentions that mom sorta makes me spend time with her so she's not sad. I had a few pages where I'd be venting about stuff that she did or how I hate her coming into my room and that I think she's a spoiled brat when she gets away with that stuff. There was also mentions of me being glad when I can move out and not spend time with her. When I was in school and she was home, not sure why, she went into my room and she tossed all my books around my room. Then she broke the box I keep my journal in and she was reading it. She read my old one too and tore pages where I talked about missing my dad. But she found the pages about her in my current one and she started crying and my mom went into her and saw the mess she made in my room. But the only focus once mom found out what she read was the stuff I wrote. I got home that day and my mom's husband was home already and they were so mad at me. My stepsister was crying and mom told me what happened and she kept staring and waiting for me to go and comfort my stepsister. But I didn't. My mom and her husband said I owed an apology to my stepsister and mom's husband for stuff I wrote. I said no. That it was private and I can write what I want. They told me that it's a shitty excuse to hide behind and I should care that I devastated my little sister. I told mom that what I wrote is how I feel and I'm not going to apologize for her getting hurt when she went into my room and trashed stuff. Mom said it was such a cold way to be, to not care about a little girl's feelings. Am I the AH? Am I the AH for refusing to help pay for my younger brother's college because my dad never saved up for him? I, 26F, graduated from college a couple of years ago. I worked my butt off to get through school, juggling scholarships, loans, and part-time jobs to pay for everything on my own. My dad, 55M, remarried when I was 18, and I have a half-brother, 17M, who's about to graduate high school. Recently, my dad asked if I could help out with my brother's college expenses, because he and his wife didn't save up for it. He said I should be able to afford it now that I have a full-time job, and because I got lucky with scholarships, it would only be fair if I helped my brother since family helps family. I love my brother, but I told my dad I can't be responsible for his education, especially when I had to figure everything out on my own. My dad didn't give me any financial support during college, so I don't see why it's suddenly my responsibility now. He got mad, called me selfish, and now both my stepmom and brother are giving me the cold shoulder. I feel guilty because my brother has nothing to do with this, but at the same time, I just started my career and am trying to build a life of my own. Am I the AH for saying no to helping pay for my brother's education? Am I the AH for refusing to let my dyslexic cousin copy my test? I, 17F, have a cousin, Lily, 17F, who's dyslexic. We're both in the same WAP, AP World History, class. Lily has always struggled with school because of her dyslexia, but she gets accommodations like extra time for assignments and tests. Our teacher is aware of her situation and has been pretty understanding. Last week, we had a big test in the class, and it was really important for our grade. During the test, Lily kept trying to get my attention and quietly asked if she could copy my answers. She said she didn't understand some of the questions because they were too difficult for her to read, even with the accommodations she had. I felt bad, but I didn't want to risk getting both of us in trouble. Our teacher is strict about cheating, and I've been working really hard this year because I need good grades for a scholarship. I whispered back that I couldn't help her and that she should ask the teacher for more help. She got upset and kept glaring at me for the rest of the test. Later, Lily didn't do well on the test and got a low grade. Now she's mad at me, saying I should have helped her because I know she has a hard time with reading. My aunt called me and said I should have been more understanding because of Lily's dyslexia, and that I made her feel humiliated by not helping. I explained that I didn't want to cheat and get us both in trouble, but my aunt said I should have found a way to help, even if it was just a few answers. Some of my family agrees with her, but I still think it wasn't my responsibility to break the rules, even though I understand Lily has extra challenges. Am I the AH? Am I the AH for refusing to pay a neighborhood kid for cutting my lawn when I didn't ask him to? I, 29M, recently bought my first house. I'm settling in and like the neighborhood, and a few neighbors even came by to say hello. They included a woman, 43F, and her 13-year-old son. Not long after, I was on my couch one afternoon and saw the son outside, mowing my front lawn. I was confused, since I'd never asked him to, and he'd never offered. I went out and politely asked him why he was doing it. He said he did it for lots of neighbors, and quickly added they give him $5 for it. I found it really weird, so thanked him for the partial work he'd done, before explaining that since I hadn't asked or wanted him to do it, I wasn't going to be paying him. He said okay, and quietly left my lawn. I figured that might be the end of it, just a kid trying to make some money, resolved with no harm done, end of story. But the next day, his mom arrived on my doorstep and angrily asked me why I hadn't paid her son. I basically repeated what I'd said to her son, but she wouldn't accept it. She just kept saying that it was a kind gesture, and that he does it for all the other neighbors. She also said $5 isn't a lot of money, and I could have just gave it to him. I kept trying to explain that an agreement like that needs to be set up ahead of time, otherwise it's nothing more than a random demand for money, but she basically tuned me out and ended up walking away as I was talking. I was amazed the adult in the situation was handling it worse than the literal child was. I'm wondering how much longer this will go on for. That was last week. Every time I've seen her since, she stared daggers at me or made a show of crossing the street to avoid me. I'm not instigating anything further, I really have no desire to speak to her, but I'm thinking she might try to send her poor kid back to collect the money, or even mow the lawn again. I vented about this to family and friends, and while most seemed to agree with me, some said I should have been grateful and paid the boy, and just told them from then on not to mow the lawn. I can't tell if I've been an ass here, or if my reaction to the whole thing was entirely justified.